have all of you here today. We're going to be talking to you about how to take advantage of the brand you've already built. A huge part of the partnership with Side is obviously launching these brands in market. And I think one of the things that oftentimes there's such a focus on the launch that you want to think about what happens a couple years down the line. And I really was excited today to have three just like stellar exemplars of people that have done so much with their brand and really transformed really strong personal brands, because I know that that's often a bit of a tension point, is having this really strong personal brand and market, and how do you balance that with this brand you've created. So very, very happy to have all three of these folks on the panel today. And just at a high level, what you'll be seeing in the deck is very, very tactical takeaways, examples of collateral they've created. So if you're looking for really actionable takeaways, I think that the deck is going to highlight a lot of that for you. But separately from that, I think this conversation is going to be a bit more philosophical, just like oriented around why brand matters for recruiting, why brand matters to buyers and sellers. So with that, I want to intro our panel, starting with Tim. Can you let the audience know who you are, what market you operate in, and a little bit about your business and how you got into real estate?
Absolutely. Ash first was like saying, she's like, come and talk to a few people and, you know, it'd just be nice and easy. And then I get here and I'm like, okay, this room is a little crazy. My name is Tim Collum. I'm with House Real Estate in Sacramento, California. Got in the business. I was a strength and conditioning coach for Sac State. Don't look at me now or judge me. Now I like donut holes. So, I got into real estate, and that was my thing. So we're in Sacramento. We have a team of about 20. When I joined Side last year, we had a team of about 5 or 6.
And 2 offices in the Sacramento market. Anna Belomo.
Hi, my name's Anna Belomo. I founded District Homes about 4 years ago, almost. We started with 3, there's 20 of us now, and we serve the Bay Area, Berkeley, Oakland, El Cerrito. So for those of you not as familiar, it's right across from the Golden Gate Bridge. So as I was saying, there's 20 of us.
Yeah.
And how I got into real estate.
Yeah, how'd you end up in real estate?
I moved to the US from Barcelona 16 years ago. I had no previous work experience in the US. I had never worked here. I didn't know what I was doing. My understanding of real estate maybe was about what American Beauty.
Yeah.
But then I just got into it a little bit by chance, and here we are.
Awesome. And Kofi, please introduce yourself.
Sure. So my name is Kofi Narte, founder and CEO of Global Real Estate and Development. We are based in Beverly Hills, but have global reach, global access. We do some development deals, we do investment deals, and really my goal is to transition agents from agents to true advisors. So servicing more of the real estate portfolio. So usually the entree is buying or selling a home, but we want to help you invest. We bought about $25 million of properties in our first year. We're flipping properties, we're doing developments globally. So that's our model. How I got into real estate, I went to Berkeley, so go Bears. Go Bears. I played football there, had a shot with the Raiders when they were in Oakland. John Gruden's first year before he lost his mind. And then got hurt, went to LA, I did acting for 10 years, TV, commercials, movies, and then transitioned into real estate. And really, you know, I always say you're not born to do what you're doing, whether it's sports or law or real estate. It's finding something where you can apply the bulk of your gifts and feel good about it on a daily basis. So I love people, I love negotiating, I love business strategy, and I get to do all of that in real estate, so that's why I'm here.
Awesome. Thank all three of you for being on this panel. So I just want to start off kind of talking at a high level. Brand's a little bit of a squishy term, and it means different things to different people. Starting with Anna, I know we had talked about your belief brand's all about reputation. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, so I think there's kind of 2 components to what I think is brand for me.
Yeah.
One is what your reputation is, not just among your clients and the community in general, also among your peers.
Yeah.
You know, we feel very strongly that that's kind of core to what we do.
Mm-hmm.
But the second component of that is the culture, and it's the principles that guide us, and how those principles are reflected out to the world.
Yeah.
You want to be honest, you know, so they match, right? But that's how I would define brand as a sort of general.
And that's going to be a consistent theme. I think that you're going to see the way we talk about brand and how it functions in real estate being very oftentimes synonymous with culture. But I really love, Kofi, we prepped before the panel. You had a really great sentiment on brand and how you think through brand for yourself and extracting your best qualities.
Right.
Can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, I think starting with it, brand is a promise. I always come back to that. Brand is a promise of what the experience of working with you is going to be like. And as individuals, as entrepreneurs, as partners, with Side, we have to find ways to extract out of us the tenets and the culture of our brand. So we have to extract that in a way that's transferable to the agents who join forces with you, to the people that you work with, to the communities that you're engaged with, also in a way that's scalable, right? So you look at even major companies in the US, the Apples of the world. Well, Steve Jobs was really at the core of that brand, but it scaled the way that it did because his core values, his entrepreneurial spirit, was extracted and permeated through the organization. So that's what we really have to do, even as individuals with real estate companies or real estate firms. Find those core competencies and core values that you can articulate, right? Because we do it every day, and sometimes we get lazy because we can hide behind our own personalities. I had actually a good friend and mentor tell me that the other day. He's like, sometimes you hide behind your charisma and personality. But we have to extract that out in a way that we can articulate it, that our agents can articulate it, that our clients, when you ask them what do they think about when they think of you, they can articulate it, and that's when you know you're winning.
Yeah. Tim, just to round it off, what does brand mean to you? I know one point you had talked about was differentiation. How do you think about brand?
I think that's exactly right. And what Kofi said, it's just being different in your market, being unique. I think that's something that we try to figure out. And really, it's the agents that work with us and how they are unique and how they're unique to their buyers and sellers. And the referral part's critical on how people can wrap it up. But I would say brand to me is something about how you work in the community.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of us, is like, how do you exist? How are you out and going to the grocery store? How are you doing all of the things that you normally do? How's my dog doing at the dog park? I just saw that slide go up. That's
Tim has some of the best branding in the game. You're going to see a lot of that on the screen. So jumping into that, Tim, I know your branding is always very community oriented. As you can see up here, it says there are over 30 dog parks in Sacramento, just saying. How do you think about brand and how it relates to how you work with sellers specifically?
I think sellers, they see your signs all over town, and they see individually we have, our names as agents. And I think that it goes hand in hand with the company and the brokerage. And I would say that a lot of the times that when sellers see our names over and over and over, and we feel like, we just, a lot of times overkill. Constantly. Realtors are putting their faces everywhere. We're doing everything you possibly can to just get a repeat. Yeah. But I think for us, sellers have a unique view of us where they see reputation, they see the culture of our company, they see the agents that are out there that have the same philosophies. And to us, over the years, that's what we see. Ideally, we want people to say, oh, we see your name all over the place. How did you hear about us? Well, we see your name all over. We see your signs all over the place. And that's really the goal you get to. So you try to get to where people are just referring you because they see your signs repetitive over and over in a community, small communities.
Anna, for you, you talked about when we did panel prep before, how you think there's value with the brand and associating it to sellers as you really live and work here. Like, this place. Can you speak a little bit about how District operates in the Berkeley market?
Yes.
By the way, District is #1 in the Kensington market, #2 in the El Cerrito market, and then #4 in the Berkeley market after only 4 years in existence. So fun little story, or fun little fact about District. And half of which she's been building during a pandemic.
So I think, I would echo what you're saying, right? I think we have, we just met, but we're becoming really good friends.
She established that I was shorter than Kofi, and Kofi's better looking, which he is. And he's the best dressed out of all of us, out of the whole thing. So anyway, it was great. It's truth. That's it. Yeah.
So I think this whole point about we work where we live, right? And you see people, you see them at the school when you pick up your kids. You see it at the market. We go to a lot of markets in Berkeley. Food's very important to us. Yeah. So just being out there, and I think I would say to that point of community, to me, what has always been very important is to have a brick and mortar office. And I know a lot of people are moving away from that.
Yeah.
To me, that was essential And I signed the lease to this office, which is the third iteration of office as we grew, 2 weeks before the pandemic. So it sat empty for a while. But to me, to be able to say, yes, we live here, this is where our office is, this is our community.
Yeah. And Kofi, I think your client base, you tend to work with very high profile people, and that's part of going back to brand. I know you had talked about Global Red communicating, being dedicated, discreet, and driven. Can you talk a little bit about how brand operates for you with both your buyers and your sellers?
Yeah, totally. I think one thing I would say is you can't be afraid to own a niche. Or you guys are from Canada, a niche, right? you have to, otherwise you get lost in the sea of sameness. There's too many real estate agents in California for sure, let alone the country. I remember when I got into real estate, I got my real estate license, I was still acting, and I was like, everybody in California, especially in LA, is an agent or an actor, and I'm both. So I've got to figure out how to stand out, So I was acting like an agent, But I had to find a niche. And after I knew what I was doing, I'd been in the business maybe 4 years. I had a lot of contacts in sports and entertainment. I decided to carve that out as a niche.
Yeah.
Now, the concern with that is that you're going to miss other business, and you will. And I missed other business. I had people who called me and said, oh, yeah, we just bought a $2 million house or a $1 million condo, but we thought you only worked with, right? But on the other side of that, I got a chance to work with Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Which put me on a national map,
yeah.
right? And we find these moments where we're learning, we're ebbing and flowing, we're defining who we are. And I heard somebody talk about failing fast, and I use FAIL as an acronym. It's find all important lessons. Find all important lessons. Even representing Michael Jordan, the house is still on the market. I did it for a year.
Yeah.
And got more attention in that 1 year than I had ever had, than the property had ever had. And that brand and branding that we did still carries with me.
Yeah.
To that day, to this day. And I see you have one of the slides up, this global perspectives. This is another way that I think we have to lean into our brands, and it's fun. My kids are here, my wife is here, my daughter does homeschooling part-time with my wife, and they came to my office. And this is what I like about doing panels and doing speaking engagement. They came to my office 2 weeks ago, which forced me to come up with creative ways to explain branding and content and the importance of it. And the concept of bringing value changed for me that day. Because the 2022 value of the concept of bringing value is through content, right? And it's through information, things that are entertaining, or things that are aspirational. All of those bring value now. That's why people scroll on their phones through Instagram, through social media, because it's entertaining, and in that moment, they want to be entertained. And that's value. And if we're looking at bringing value in our industry, I do things like this. This was a Global Perspectives event. We just branded it, Global Perspectives, and we'll do more. We do different topics that we cover, and this was trends in architecture and design. And it gave me an excuse to reach out to one of my designer clients, celebrity interior designer. I reached out to an architect client that I had, and it opened up a new door because I reached out to one of the publications, national publications, and said, we're doing this panel, can you have your editor-in-chief come? And they came, right? So now I have new access for even promoting listings, which paid off later. And last example I'll give, a few years ago, I did something called the Team Summit, which had nothing to do with real estate, but everything to do with the audience that I'm looking to go after, right? It was the Entertainers, Athletes, and Media Summit. And it was a convergence of sports and media in LA. I had people from the local teams come, the local CBS News came. I had all these different panelists, and I had 120 people in the room that were all of the people that I wanted to meet anyway, right? And I mean, it was LA, so I had like 30 RSVPs on Tuesday, and then Thursday's event, I had 120 in the room. So they had me sweating that it wasn't gonna happen, but it happened. But I think thinking of creative ways to stay in front of your audience and thinking outside the box when it comes to bringing value in 2022.
And continuing to tie your brand to things like this Global Perspectives event. It's obviously Kofi, the brand itself, Global Red, wants to be associated with these type of topics. So finding things that are relevant to you. It doesn't have to be this. Maybe there's another topic outside of real estate or real estate adjacent, and you can tie your brand to that. Anna, just going to the topic of buyers, and I think you and Tim actually shared really similar sentiments about this, but brand as essentially a brain trust, as being hyper-connected to what's going on in market and being able to bring insights about the market that typically aren't available to the average consumer. Can you talk a little bit about brand and how it works with buyers?
And I think this ties a little bit into what we were talking about, reputation.
Yeah.
I think for me, the value that we bring is that it's the power of us together. There's 20 of us. It's a huge brain trust.
Yeah.
I think that's part of what people see when they look at us from the outside.
Yeah.
As I was saying, both in the real estate community, but also the clients. So when you have a buyer, you kind of are getting us all in a way. You're getting the sum of our parts, which is the better part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if I can piggyback on that, because I think it's extremely important, especially in the luxury space, right? As we get into higher price points, because those clients are used to working with the team. You know, I've been on emails. I closed a deal last year, and there were 13 people on every email.
Yeah.
You know, it was the client, it was the spouse, it was the business manager, it was the internal real estate person for their management firm who doesn't have a real estate license but has a lot of opinions on real estate. And you know, you have to copy all of these people, but they understand that team approach and the value add of having multiple people servicing the client, making sure nothing slips through the cracks.
Speaking of teams, as you can see, I've sprinkled quotes throughout this. Love a good quote. Your brand must communicate the value that you bring to a working relationship. I'm of the opinion, and some people may disagree, but I believe that brand is just very central to creating a really healthy culture and being able to reflect that out into the community. I'm very fortunate. One of the reasons I'm so passionate about this topic is I came from a really iconic San Francisco brand and just saw the power of working at that brand and what it meant to the community. So just hitting on that, I would love to talk, Tim, about your, how brand goes back to your retention and recruiting philosophy and the agents that you bring on board to House.
Yeah, I think team is everything. I mean, I have 6 of them up front and close, and I think that they've been.
Hi, House team.
They're going to stay quiet. They're not going to have
Oh my
me call
God.
them all up and say what's up. So I think it's really important, and I think if you're doing things right and you're being where you're ethical and you're doing everything with integrity, you don't really, I mean, recruiting, I don't even like that. You attract people,
Yeah.
right? As opposed to recruiting. And I think that back to Kofi's kind of sentence, like what he's saying, is like buyers want to feel connected, right?
Yeah.
And I think the philosophy is we all have this same culture and we all meet on Mondays and Wednesdays. We talk about what's working, what's not working, and our team is really tight. And I feel so blessed because I feel like we're all of the same mindset. We were just talking about it at lunch. And I think one analogy I'd look at is that I used to be a strength and conditioning coach, and I was a personal trainer, and Charles Schwab was one of my clients. And he's like, I'm gonna open up all these financial institutions. And he had this Ask Chuck, very relatable marketing campaign, one of the best ones I've seen, right? But you're gonna walk in and you're gonna be like, where's Chuck? Chuck's not there. Chuck, you're not working with Chuck. So my thing is that it's been one of those things where it's like, how do we create a culture in our brand that anytime you walk in, you have one of our agents or myself, and we all work as a team. And it's not something that we're seeing teams use where I think what's different is people hire all these people and then they keep hiring people.
You
I don't-
described House as like an elite law firm.
Yeah,
Which
I don't know
like
if that's
that.
good or bad.
And I just want to
Like
call out, that's Tina up there,
Yeah,
who's
Tina.
a House agent who Tim features in his advertising. He features all of his agents in his advertising, which is awesome. So with that, I think that all 3 of you shared very similar sentiments about brand and culture and how you don't just bring everybody on to the brand, correct? So Anna, can you speak a little bit about that and your experience adding and building out District from the initial 3 to now you're at 20 strong?
Yes, so that ad is like 3 years old.
This
And
ad?
we did it sitting, we did it sitting at a table, no marketing person, nobody, and we needed to differentiate ourselves from, you know, the Coldwell Bankers and the
Yeah.
Compasses and all of this. And there was going to be a publication, and we sat down and we said, well, how can we truly differentiate, differentiate ourselves?
Got it.
Yeah.
Sometimes my English fails me.
I like how you said compasses, though.
Yeah, I like that too.
Compasses. Actually, I didn't mean it that way, but that's okay. Okay.
You said it, I didn't, I'm just saying.
That's so good.
That's good, that's good.
We're stealing that.
So we sat down, we had lunch together, and Sarah, who's sitting right there, she's like, well, we are District. And I was like, dude, that just makes total sense. So on this magazine, there's all these ads about a Compass, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then there was us. We
Yeah.
are District. So there's more of us now, but I think the philosophy is the same.
Yeah.
And you were asking a little bit
You
about...
don't just add every
don't-
single agent that's interested.
don't recruit.
You all three get very solicited to join. So it seems like what I've noticed in talking to all three of you is that you're conscientious about preserving the quality of the brand with the people you're adding.
Yes,
So-
I don't recruit. I'm starting to get calls now because we're like the cool kids in town. But I don't want to bring people that don't fit the culture. And I'm not giving this as a piece of advice because I think it's probably wrong, but I don't hire based on production because I don't care too much about
I
it.
keep saying that, and we love when she says
And
that.
so to me, it's more about,
I was so hoping she would do that on
Oh,
stage.
I love it.
That was actually-
You know,
Bring all the new
it's
agents
the
to
best.
district. Okay, keep going.
so to me, it's more about what is this agent bringing to all of us and to the table?
Yeah.
Is it adding to the diversity of our group? You
Yeah.
know, were you a doula, or were you a U.S. diplomat, or did you go to Harvard Law School, or were you selling, high-end fashion or whatever? So to me, that's what the value that you bring. I treat it. I mean, to me, everybody is as important to the team as, equally important, I
Yeah.
should say. So yes, I get sometimes at the beginning, Wendy would say, but how much are they producing? When you're bringing this new person, I was like, I don't know, which is not good, but it's worked for me.
Yeah.
Kofi, how do you think about, I think
Yeah.
oftentimes people don't think about individuals as adding or detracting from a brand.
Right.
But how do you think about that in terms of Global Red?
No, for sure. If you can go back to the slide that had a little bit of our swag, that one there.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple of examples in this slide, right? So you see the wristband that says focus and finish. And I wear that every day. And my team, most of them wear it as well, right? And that was one example of me extracting a value, a core value from myself and putting it into the brand.
Yeah.
And putting it into a brand in a way that's scalable. So like, especially with sports clients and people who are into fitness or into goals, focusing on the small steps that lead to your big goals. That's what Focus and Finish is about. And I can't tell you how many of my clients love wearing it because it says that. Now, if it said Kofi, I mean, I'd get maybe, a tenth of the adoption, and it'd be all the people who have my last name, my own family. But Focus and Finish is something they can all relate to, as well as my team. They can relate to that. If you look at the logo on our hats, it's a logo that I came up with. We've now trademarked Global Red, but the logo itself is for unlocking and unleashing potential. So you see it's open on one side to receive information, receive experiences, it's your gifts, your talents, it's your education, it's your resources. That's you in the middle. Then it opens back up to give it back to the world, right? And if we're sharing from our gifts, our resources, our experiences,
Let's clap for that. We love that.
If we're sharing from that place, it's going to be from that authentic place. And if you're sharing from your gifts, I say you never run out, which is why I like to talk fast and share as much as I can, because we get to share from our experiences and our gifts. And then I think as it relates to, hiring for the firm, is exactly that. I mean, I even call us a firm. I don't call us a brokerage. We're a firm. Because I also looked at the models from the banks when I would go to the private client services office. There's the regular bank and then there's private client services, right? And then I would look at the wealth managers and wealth advisors. And then there's the high net worth wealth advisors. Then I would look at the law firms. And they had partners and senior partners and junior associates. So at my firm, we have that. We have managing partners, we have senior partners. Because the other thing that's a challenge in our industry, if you guys can relate, and part of my team's here so they know I'm telling the truth, is some people come into the industry with entitlements and expectations, right? And which is why we actually don't hire brand new agents. You never sold a home, but you want to be a senior partner. Okay, tell me about that. Tell me more, right? But it sets the bar at a place where people know they can strive for something greater,
Yeah.
right? And the people who are managing partners, they can lean on the junior associates or junior partners to help them, to leverage, to help with open houses, to help them get experience. So yeah, we're looking for a certain level of, and there's just certain things that have to be in place, experience, professionalism, trust is huge, because with trust, we can just run a lot faster and go a lot further together. But on top of that, people have to fit into really that concept of unlocking their potential. I say it gets cliche, but I'm looking for 1 + 1 = 3 at a minimum, 5 is even better.
Yeah, awesome. People don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. I think one interesting thing that everyone in this room can probably relate to, especially if you've launched a brand, is you have these names that are so recognizable in the industry. And how do you negotiate having that strong personal brand, which your personal brand still is very powerful, and I would encourage everyone to like step into that as well. But how do you negotiate that with this brand that you are collectively creating with your teammates? Tim, how have you sought to balance those two things?
I think it's a great question. I think that in my early stage of my career, it was all about me, and it was always just your name, and that's what you were doing, and you were just talking about it. And now, for me,
Now you're putting your face on billboards.
that's like the worst slide you can use. Kim is looking at me right now, probably just like, but it's part of what we do is we're always putting, you know, ourselves out there, but you have to have this balance of putting your face out there, right? It's something that you do. And I think the other thing is that you're able to co-brand with other companies like Lululemon or Louis Vuitton or whatever, and give that to your team too as tools to obviously do whatever.
Tim's
you
also
can.
a world famous artist.
I
If you,
wouldn't-
you are. He has an art gallery in the airport. It's very cool. Look him up. So.
I think thank you. I think I'm not, yeah, I'll just be quiet. The individual agents are my goal now for their success. And I think that's what really fuels me, and that's what I want our team, because I feel like I've had a taste of that over my career, and now I'm like, I want everyone on our team to have that same thing, and that's really important. This billboard is the most narcissistic billboard I've had. She picked it, and I'm like, let's put a face on there, and that's, yeah.
I think you've done such a good job of it, though, abstracting yourself from the brand. I see your team all the time on social media, and everyone is so excited to represent the brand, represent House, and I think that's hard if you're operating solely attached to your name. Not that people wouldn't do that if you're a great leader, but it becomes a lot easier when there's the brand that people can rally behind. I saw a really cool thing on Halloween. They did Haunted House, and then they posted pictures of all of themselves dressed up as for Halloween as little kids, and that was pretty fun. And they like made the logo a haunted mansion, so that was fun. Kofi, I think you have a lot of presence and a lot of star power. How have you gone and negotiated the personal brand and having such a strong personal brand now with like launching Global Red and operating out in market?
Yeah, no, it's. You have to find examples of what you're trying to do, and it's just a process of, iterations and learning.
Yeah.
And I've looked at like the Richard Bransons of the world, and I'm like, how can I be like that? Where you have Virgin that's not his name, but it's everything that he represents.
Yes.
And so now everything he does feeds into Virgin. And so for me, that's where I like to use my name and my brand and my presence and sharing and learning, any stage that I can, do that from, because I can pour all of that into my brand, which creates opportunities for my agents.
Yeah, I think you've done that dance really well, and I think that's something partners often overlook. You are the most important asset to your brand.
Yeah.
So putting yourself out there as an ambassador of the brand it's going to make other people fall in line and want to put themselves out there too and put their names behind the brand as well.
Yeah.
Uh,
You have to do it. I give you another quick example. It's why I wear 2 watches. I've been a watch guy like my whole life, but the last maybe 2 years, 3 years, I've been wearing 2 watches every day. And sometimes they're same watches, sometimes they're different watches, but it's really a reminder to myself, right, to do what makes myself and others uncomfortable.
Yeah.
In other words, like, do the most. You guys, like, life is short also. We've had way too many reminders of how short life is over the last 2 or 3 years. I've got Mamba mentality in my office for Kobe Bryant, and I try to bring that every day. But give of yourself every day. Pour into yourself and pour into those around you every day, even if it makes you uncomfortable. If you have to post, if you have to promote your brand, that self-promotion is also promotion for your brand, for your firm, for your company.
And your
team. Do that. And your team. And there's no small part of that giving of yourself every day that's wasted. It could be in these hallways, you're passing by somebody and you smile. That's giving of yourself. And that might mean something to the person you smiled to something like this, where we're on stage, even sharing a lot more. But I think now more than ever, don't wait. Don't wait till the perfect time. I remember when I was I went to business school at Pepperdine. I did my MBA, and the first 4 days, a 2-year program, traditional program, but it was a presidential and key executive program, what it was called. But the first 4 days, all we did was mindful awareness exercises. So we did a day of meditation. We did a day of yoga, which I don't like because I like physical movement and sports. But it was really interesting because they said in the course of this program, and even as you're running your businesses, you're going to have information. And you'll never have perfect information. You'll have about 85% of the information. And then you have to know to sit still and trust your gut. So we want to train you how to do that part, right? And that's the same thing with everything we do on a daily basis. We never have perfect information. Our hair is never perfect. I mean, you know, I don't have to worry about that too much. You know, our voices may never be perfect, the video, the lighting, but just go. Just go, just go, just go. Just do it. Just do it. You'll trip, you'll stumble, but as we talk about in my office, let's trip and stumble this way. Like over time, we're growing, we're building, we're failing forward, and we're failing fast.
Yeah.
The best part about Side, too, just to say something, is that I knew about these two guys before I even sat down. Like, we first met, like, you know, just quickly before. And the best part is, as we walk through the halls and that type of thing, I'm trying not to be, like, shy. I go up and I, like, stalk everyone's pages. Like, I sit on social media and go, okay, what branding, what company do I like? What, oh, that's something that's unique.
Yeah.
And the best part about it is we're all so collaborative. I mean, that's what we are. And it starts with our team, and then it goes out, and you start
out.
looking at everyone else. And I think that's what's so important.
I think there's nothing, I have to piggyback on that, because there's nothing like the community that's being built here, right? Because it's iron sharpening iron. You know, I was listening to Brett Jennings the other day, listening to Zaid, hopefully he's in here. They crushed it. It's the nuts and bolts of operations, the things that we all struggle with, you know, the recruiting pieces, the scaling, the building, and there's always something to learn from each other.
Yeah. And yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's a remarkable community.
Yeah.
I felt very blessed to be even doing this panel with the three of you. So, so to kind of end it before we open up to questions, I just, you know, another great quote. Brand is a set of expectations, memories, stories, relationships that taken together account for a consumer's decision to choose one product, or in this case, service, over another. And with that, your brand is a gateway to your true work. What you'll see up here is, you know, Tim's the billboard king. And you'll see kids actually standing in front of the billboards in their community, taking, you know, just taking in the fact that they've been featured. So, Anna, you said something in our prep call that I just really want to make sure gets said, which is the brand is all of us together rallying around a vision that I had, but now that we're all together, keeps evolving. Can you elaborate a little bit more?
Yes, I think I understand that people join you because of who you are, and that's what attracts them.
Yeah.
But I like to believe, and I think we have accomplished this, I think the brand is all of us.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe one day I won't be the brand, right? And
Well, you said even like your core values, you've recently like started focusing more on like certain social justice causes and like climate causes, because you have people at the brand that are bringing those to the forefront and saying, we want the brand to represent and be in the community for X.
yes, and I think to me is very important. If I didn't have to be in the picture, I wouldn't want to necessarily be in the picture, or at least not in the middle, but I'm always the short one, so I always have to be in the middle and the front. And so, you know, it is what it is. But I think it's very important also as we navigate that line between promoting our own business, because I am also a realtor, and promoting your agent's, you know, business. I think one of my worries, and I don't think it's happened, I hope it hasn't, is that your agents see you as competition. I mean, that is the last thing I wanted to ever happen. And just I think generosity goes a very long way. My agents know that if there was ever a situation where that were the case, I would always, and I always mispronounce this word, but err on the side of the agent.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's almost like my fiduciary duty is not so much to my clients, which it is, totally is, but is mostly now it's your agents. And you have to put them above your own business.
Yeah. And again, just like you said, it's not a static thing. It's one that you keep learning and growing and evolving it. Tim, I just love these, and I was so glad you got them to me yesterday, because I spent a long time looking for them. When branding for you is heavily tied to community.
Yeah.
Can you kind of offer some closing thoughts around that?
Sure. I think that celebrating your community is the most important thing that you can do. And I think that even when we struggle, I think the one thing is that we all have our own billboards. It's through social media or through print advertising or whatever you're doing. And some people might go, well, I don't have that kind of bandwidth to do that. But we have a campaign where we celebrated our clients, and we took the clients and we took actual Google reviews. And that was a really big tool for us, is we got all these Google reviews, and we go on listing appointments. We'd say, look at our Google reviews, and it'd tell a story of what's happening. And these are real people that we represented. And then we celebrate them, and we go, hey, can we put your kids here? Can we do this? And obviously, it's one of those things where it's not about us.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best part, is in real estate, you can shift and do different things. For 1 year, you could be completely about the guy that's the total cheese dick on the, basically the billboard that's like me, and just doing that. And then you can focus to kids.
You
and focus
did
to different people.
frontline workers too during the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah.
You highlighted them.
And we
a
just put
lot.
thank you
Yeah.
to our heroes. And that was it. And that was one thing that we can, message, and we can talk to people. And I think that we all have a power in helping the community. And I think through marketing and being out of the box and doing things that people don't expect is where you get the greatest impact. And all of it comes from us being genuine to each other,
Yeah.
like doing what we can to make sure that we are giving back to the community. And that's it, so.
Kofi, any final thoughts you want to leave the crowd with before we open it up to questions?
No, I don't have anything specifically planned, but I think the idea, just piggybacking on that, the idea of community is it can be your neighborhood, it can be a demographic group, it can be a community of entrepreneurs, it could be a community of artists. It doesn't have to be bound by just a zip code, right? It can be people that you relate to, that even like when I go out and meet with clients, there's a little bit of just aspiration built into the conversations. Because I love to extract from them kind of what their goals are beyond buying and selling a home, how they built their own businesses, how they arrived at the place where they are. And I think that's half the battle is being interested, not interesting, right? Where we're being interested in listening to our clients and hearing their stories versus a lot of self-promotion. Now we have to do part of the self-promotion to create the opportunity to listen. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? So all the promotion that we're doing is so that they're aware of what we do and how we do, and then when we sit down with them, we can just shut up and listen, right? And get to the bottom of it.
You have a
'Cause
great quote about that. Brand is what gets the call.
There you go.
Brand is what gets the call, right?
Brand is like, it's like
Or-
dating. Marketing's like dating, but brand is the reason why she says yes.
Okay, there you go. All right, there you go.
No, that's it. And then once you've listened, I come back to my thoughts on selling, because selling is not persuading them to do what you want them to do. It's reminding them of what they said they want for themselves. So you
Wow.
have to ask a ton of questions. So when that critical moment comes and they don't think it's the right house, or they're nervous, or they don't want to be that 14th offer because they feel like they're overpaying, you get to remind them of what this is going to mean for the pregnant wife, for the great schools in that community, for the next 7 to 10 years of their lives, right? And that's all I have for you.
Yeah.
We have, thank you for the clap.
Good.
We have
Scott.
time for questions. Want to open it up? I can come down. Perfect. Hi.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Hi.
Just a quick question for the panel, if you don't mind. For new agents, do you think it's more important to brand yourself or fall in line with the company brand?
I think.
I can-
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, from my perspective, I think that if you're part of a really strong brand, it doesn't have to be a binary choice. Your personal brand is what people are going to Google. They're going to Google your name. They're going to look you up. So I think branding yourself in combination with a really strong brand, just because that becomes, Kofi, you had a statement around it. It becomes like the engine that powers.
Right.
What was that?
Right. The corporate brand of the firm that you're with is going to become the engine that powers your business. But a real quick answer and hack to that is write yourself down, write your name down, write your brand's name down, write all of your value propositions and adjectives and things that make you unique, and the value propositions and adjectives of your firm. Combine those in a way that nobody else can, and use that as your value proposition.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
Awesome.
Good afternoon. This is Marcus Miller, Helm Real Estate in San Francisco. Great panel, great ideas and thoughts around branding. So a client has come to your office, they've met with you, they've had a very positive experience. To each of the panelists, in a word or two, what do you want your clients to walk away and think about, or think about your brand in a word or two? And then how do you get there?
Tim, do you want to start?
Yeah, I would say unique. I mean, I think we're like, there's nothing like us where we are in some ways, and I'm very confident in that. And unique is something where they come in and they're like, okay, there's several people that we talk to, and that's our brand in general.
Yeah. Anna?
I think real, honest, and committed. Commitment, I think, for me is the most important thing. We did a branding exercise, we hired a branding company, and the final sort of messaging was all in always. District Homes were all in always, and that speaks to our level of commitment with each other, with our clients, and I think that's what I would like
Yeah.
for them to remember.
Kofi?
I want them to feel, and we even call them this, that they're global citizens. So like once you've done a deal with us, once you're on the inside, you're a global citizen, which means that you have access to all of our resources, all of our connections, any ways we can help you at that point, you're in. And a real quick marketing exercise or branding exercise to do is ask your clients 3 to 5 words that come to mind when they think of you, right? And we did that, and it blew my mind when I did that like 4 years ago. And the word protected came up that I had never thought about. And I'm like, that's a hell of a word that my clients feel protected with me. So I want our global citizens, right?
Yeah.
To feel resourced, to feel protected, and that we have, they have their backs.
NECA?
Hi, I have a question for Kofi.
Yes.
So I run a team, and what would you say to someone on your team that, and I'm asking you because you said something earlier, you haven't sold a house, but whatever, when you made that joke.
Yeah.
So someone that you allow onto your team that hasn't really sold anything and wants to be on a billboard, what would you say to them?
That teammate's not here though, right?
What'd you say?
The teammate's not here though, right?
Yeah. No, they're not here. I sincerely want to know, what would you say to them? When they're more concerned with looking the part than being the part. And, obviously there's a misalignment in values, and I've realized that, and so I'm being more picky, but I really want to know what you would say to them.
I think it's almost too specific to answer effectively, because at the end of the day, they can be on the billboard. It just matters what's said on the billboard, right? Because I'm not a big billboard person, so I would just kind of shy away from that period. But if you are a newer agent and you're ambitious and you're whatever, and you've extracted your value proposition like the other gentleman asked, and you can put that on a billboard that creates dialogue with potential clients, maybe. Am I paying the cost of that? Hell no.
Yeah.
You gotta earn that. You gotta earn it. But I think kind of just coming back to, I guess the word entitlement would be the word we're kind of, dancing around. That's part of the reason I set up my firm the way that I did. And again, at the end of the day, it's not to belittle, but it's to let people know that there's a hard road ahead. And the people who are ahead of you have earned it. They've already done it. And if you put in the work, you're here because I can help you unlock that next level of you, but you've got to put in the work.
So just really quick, I appreciate that because you're actually challenging me, and this person's no longer on my team, so just so you know. You say that, and it's interesting because at first my response, and I said it as respectfully as possible, was just, you want to be on a billboard to attract people to you, and I love that, right? But if you haven't sold anything, when they call you, what are you going to say to them? How confident are you going to be in your ability to help them with what they want to accomplish?
Yes.
So what you just said kind of makes me check myself on just, put yourself out there, which I don't tend to do well. But if there's no substance there, how do you balance that?
You're the substance. So when they call them and what are you going to say, they're going to call you. Go with
Yeah.
it. Seriously.
Okay.
Seriously. I tell my team that all the time. That's the reason I can do international business, and we can do commercial flips, and we can do all these things because I found the right people to help me.
Okay.
Right? So I don't have to say no. I can say yes because I know that I've got Marcus in the Bay Area and I can call him. I've got the right
They-
people
of
in just
course
about
they
every city.
have that in them. If you give
Yeah.
them the substance,
Yeah.
they're willing to level up.
Yeah.
But you're
That's
going to
it.
learn, again, going back to that idea of culture and brand,
Yep.
you're going to learn how to interview more properly, right? And like
Yeah.
vet out those qualities earlier. We have two more questions over there.
So if you already have like a strong brand with your name, you know, from previous brokerage, and you're really well known, how do you convert to the boutique brand now without, you know, with it being a little bit seamless? Because it's hard to just all of a sudden switch our name and people, the recognition kind of goes
Everyone on
away,
this
so-
panel
Yeah.
did a lot of co-branding of the name because again, you're your best asset. But Tim, you did that.
Yeah, that was my biggest fear. That's a great question, like the best question. 22 years I've been doing it. I've used my name in every different way and all those things. And for me, I wanted to create a company that was more of a legacy thing. So I do have the opportunity, like Anna, to kind of take my name off at some point, or if I needed to, right? Or if something happens to me, then it still exists, right? And so for me, it's been a combination of simple answers for 2 years. I'm going to keep both names there and use both as much as I can, and then I'll reevaluate and see where I'm at in 2 years. Has it affected my business? Yeah, our business has grown by 3 times in the last year, which is nuts. And so it was like, I was so fear-based on that. That one question was just, I was like, I don't understand. And why can't I name it the Column Company? And why can't I do these things? Like, that was my big fear. And I think keeping the names together for a while, that's something that I think helps enhance the brand as well. And people see my name, and it's been around for a while in real estate, and then my clients and everyone else. But it really, I think both names together, it's so powerful.
Yeah.
So it's a great question.
What I've typically seen is people, once they start seeing this brand that they've created as something bigger than themselves, and it becomes about the collective, it's usually much easier to step into the brand. So that is the journey I've seen a lot of partners go on and ultimately where they land. Hi. Oh, hi, Dana.
And actually, I used to work with Kofi at Compass. So, hey, Kofi.
Compass.
Anyway,
Compass.
so my yeah, Compass, yes. Anyway, my question was almost exactly the same. So I had the Dana Cataldi group at Compass, and I had a team, and now I'm Gather Homes. And my biggest problem right now is I am Gather Homes, and I am the person everyone comes to. I'm the only lead generator on my team. And I do a big business, but I'm really trying to not be the person that does everything.
There's a whole
because-
panel about admins, I think.
Yeah, yeah, they're all there. But that being said, I'm trying to do things now, community events. I'm doing some projects now where we're going to underfunded schools in LA. I'm doing painting murals,
Awesome.
inspirational murals, and I'm doing it with clients and my team so people can get to know them more. But I'm trying to think of other ways that I can have my team step up, me step back a little bit, so they are more familiar. So I love the idea of having them be more in the social media, all of those things, because that's been the big problem. And also, how do they step in so they're, you know, more part of the open houses when everyone sort of wants the principal to always be there?
Can we just answer Dana's
Yeah, that was
question?
a
And then
lot,
we'll,
yeah.
Anna, I think this is a perfect question for you because you've created something all of your team rallies behind with District, with all the different social causes and things you're invested in. So can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, so I would say when I transition, and that answers a little bit the question before, when I transitioned from being me to District, I never included my name. It just didn't even occur to me. It was always 3 of us from the beginning, so we were District in. I think it just takes time. I don't think there's a solution to, you know, how you step back a little bit. But I think just wanting to step back is the step in the right direction, because what you're signaling is like you want to rely more on your team and you want to give them more of your leads so you can maybe focus on whatever else that you want to be doing other than just being you, the person that people come to. So I don't have a solution, but I think it's just the process.
I think you've done it by, again, creating something that everyone feels they have a stake in.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
if people felt that District was Anna's company, and it was all about the things you cared about versus it's collectively about the
Yes.
things everyone cares about.
Right.
Yes.
And if you, lastly, I know we have to wrap, but like, again, it comes to extracting your personal brand out of you and putting it into something scalable. So like I use a lot of acronyms that my team can now use. And when I show up on client meetings, I always have an agent there who can help me because it's leverage, right? And if you do it the right way, they're gonna actually prefer that the other person show up instead of you.
100%.
You know, if you do it the right way, if you empower them the right way, if you tell them what to say on the appointment, you have your mic drop moments. Hand one of those mic drop moments over to the person sitting next to you. It builds that sort of confidence that they'll have in working with one of your colleagues or one of your agents.
Thank you all so much. I adore all of you. This was really, really awesome. And just, yeah, thanks for taking the time. Thank you all for attending.
Thank you.